I guess the best place to start is we're just kind of talking about it. This is year number 4 for you. How exciting is this time of year, and what are you most looking forward to for yet another school year?
I'm just excited to start another school year. It's my 25th year in education, actually, and so first day of school is always a magical time. I mean, kids coming in, they're excited. The smell of fresh crayons, seniors coming in excited about their last year, kindergartners coming in, dealing with all of the nuances of a new school year and all that comes with that. So excited about just welcoming our kids back and making sure that they get a fresh start and an exciting start to a new school year.
What message would you want to give to the youngest of the children in the FCPS and the oldest?
Oh, that's a great question. For the youngest, the message is mostly for their families and their parents. It's going to be okay. We're going to take good care of them. They are very much resilient and bright and learn so quickly and so easily, and they'll be fine. For the oldest, it's always a good time to do what you always wanted to do or be what you always wanted to be. No matter how good or bad your previous year has been, we have to give it our best each year, and it's going to be okay. Just keep pushing.
Now, it's no secret Lexington and FCPS as a whole is one of the largest districts in the state. Does that provide an extra challenge for you in managing it all, or have you feel like in 4 years you've kind of gotten used to some of the challenges and you know what you can expect in a given school year?
Each year is unique. Each year comes with its own individual challenges. Being the second largest district in the state does indeed come with a lot of challenges. It comes with a large amount of students that, we're welcoming over 42,000 students on Wednesday and are just, and they come from us from all walks of life. They come from us from every, corner of our community. We continue to have multiple languages, many cultures that is exciting to embrace and celebrate, and many academic challenges and academic exciting things that are allowing our students to excel and do amazing things. And so each year is unique, but we're ready for the challenge. We're ready for what's to come, and really ready to make sure that we make this an unforgettable year for our students and our families.
Certainly. You mentioned before that this is year 25 for you in education. Obviously, you've probably grown a lot personally and professionally in that time. But what advice do you think you could take from yourself 25 years ago and apply it to now in 2024?
Oh, wow. Continue to learn, continue to listen, continue to grow. I started teaching at 21 years old at a high school, mind you. Looked a lot like many of the high schoolers at the time. And really at that time, I didn't know what I didn't know. And the more I've grown in this profession, just realized that, you have to continue to grow. I mean, I am not only the chief leader in this district, I'm also the chief learner. And so it's important for me to make sure that I continue to learn and grow and take care of our kids, because their needs change each year. The society changes. I mean, things we were doing 25 years ago in the classroom are completely obsolete right now. So I continue to learn not only from our families and our students, but from our teachers who are in the classrooms today. And so just listen and learn.
For starters, no cell phones 25 years ago. Yeah. Or at least how they are now.
It was certainly not smartphones. And so, it was you were going to make a phone call or possibly get a page on your pager, but that was about it.
I want to talk about earlier this summer, the Board of Education conducted its annual review of you, and they said that you met expectations in all 7 leadership categories. Which one of those stood out to you the most, and which one do you think you can improve upon the most of those leadership categories? Because like you said, you are the chief learner, you can always improve.
Well, the one I guess that is most critical, in my opinion, is obviously student achievement. We are always looking to improve in student achievement, and that's the core of our business. And so I'm most excited about the fact that we are continuing to see student achievement increase. We continue to outpace the state, and yet we continue to face many challenges that we are overcoming. And the brilliant and amazing talented teachers and staff that we have each and every day are doing amazing things with our kids. And so I'm most proud of that. The area where I feel we can certainly improve is I'm always looking to improve in communication, to ensure that we're getting our message out there, that we're dispelling any rumors that may take root that are completely not productive to the mission of the organization, or true for that matter of what we're doing. And so doing a better job at communication is something I'm going to really focus on this year as well. It's me sitting here with you today.
And part of that message is the 5-year strategic plan that was unveiled in 2022, A New Way Forward. Looking at that plan, what will it take, now we're kind of at the halfway point, if you will, in order for that plan to ultimately succeed? And what do you envision that plan being and ultimately coming to?
Well, we're making quite a bit of progress in our plan. It is really, it's the core of our mission and our work as we plan each and every day. One of the things that we are implementing, continuing to implement from last year to this one, is our AAAs, which is academic achievement, attendance, and then advanced coursework. And so, many industries have had the opportunity to put the pandemic behind them, move on. Unfortunately, in education, those 17 months where our kids were at home and learning virtually and having very little interaction with others outside of their immediate circle, really did a job on education. And a recent study showed that it's going to take multiple years in order for our kids to recover from their learning loss, if you will. And each school year, in order for that to occur, students will need to advance more than a school year's worth of learning. And that same study also showed that Fayette County Public Schools and our students are advancing quicker than the national average, which I'm very, very pleased with, and again, attribute to the many hardworking folks here. But if we're going to make sure that we are advancing more than 1 year in advance and our students are achieving academically, we're also going to have to make sure that they're here. And so that brings me to the second A, which is attendance. And so we have, again, people that come every single day that are excited about the learning that's taking place, planning rigorous lessons and making sure that our students have very many opportunities to excel. And so they have to be here in order to take advantage of that. And finally, our final AAA is advanced academics. And so that's like identifying more of our kids that are have those different talents and gifts, and making sure that they're receiving that rigorous curriculum, and also taking advantage of many of our advanced courses, including dual credit with college and high school credits together, and being able to explore the many talents that exist and gifts that our students come with us.
It's amazing the talent and the skill sets that these students have at such a young age, but also, like you're just talking about, the opportunities they have presented to them. I wish I had some of these things just when I was in high school or middle school or elementary school. I have to imagine that is very special for you to see that you're able to provide all these opportunities for a student. If they want something, the chances are they can get it somewhere in FCPS.
Absolutely. We have students growing up learning a second language simultaneously as they're learning their core curriculum. We have students that are taking advantage of STEM coursework from kindergarten, and then we have students that are graduating and going to anything they can dream of, any place, whether that's immediately into the workforce with industry recognized certifications, or whether that's to college and our Ivy Leagues, or in-state or out-of-state, just doing, our kids are able to achieve their wildest dreams by coming to Fayette County Public Schools and starting their foundation here. So yeah, that's really exciting, and something that I don't take for granted, and I realize that requires leadership, and very intentional leadership, and so I focus on that each and every day.
You just touched on it before, the attendance aspect of those 3 A's. And I was going to save this for later, but we'll get to it now. The new truancy law that's been put into effect here in Kentucky. What steps is the district going to be taking to make sure that you don't have the chronic absenteeism among students? Because like we were just talking about, being able to take the opportunities presented to you and making the most out of it is what's key to having a successful educational career.
Well, we have a robust attempt when it comes to us really taking care of our students and ensuring that they're in school. We have social workers throughout our campuses that really work with our families. So if a family is struggling in any manner that is causing students to be absent, it's incumbent upon us to figure out what services that we can possibly provide. And often if those are things that can't be provided through the school system, we're partnering with local organizations and our local government in order to make sure that happens. Also, I can't overstate the importance of relationships. Our teachers and our staff are very intentional about getting to know our students, getting to know their families, and getting to understand exactly what their individual needs are. And so really, we're not so much concerned about chronic absenteeism because I feel the system we have in place continues to make a difference. And we're just going to make sure that our kids know we want them here, they belong here, and when they come in that they are going to have a place where they feel comfortable, they're learning, and they're taken care of.
So just circling back to kind of put a pin in this 5-year plan, when it's all said and done, do you see yourself still a part of FCPS come the end of the 5-year plan? And if so, what would be next after that? Or are you kind of just simply focused on, let's get to 2027 and make sure that FCPS is better than where it was in 2022?
Well, I'm always making sure that, we're getting better each and every day, each and every year. And that strategic plan we take on an ongoing basis and really look at it and review to see where we're at, to see what tweaks need to be made, and to see what is absolutely, what are we accomplishing, what are we not, why did we not accomplish those goals that we had put into place, and what did we do in order to overachieve in some areas. And so my focus is always ensuring that each day, each week, we're getting better than we were previously. And so I'm really looking forward to just ensuring that we continue to grow, we continue to excel, and we continue to do great things for kids.
I want to cover some issues from 2023, 2024 before we get into the meat and potatoes of this upcoming school year. Now that some time has passed, and I'm sure you've had time to reflect on some of those things, I want to get your opinion now if we can, if that's all right. Okay. First up, we had in March, plans were canceled to expand the Rise STEM Academy to the 6th grade. And you had said yourself, part of it, the reasoning for that was to improve the existing program before you made any further changes. What would you say to parents who are concerned about their daughters in that academy, who originally thought they were going to be in there through 8th grade, but now this year they're having to adjust and find a new educational opportunity in the district?
Well, I will tell you, in leadership, you have to make tough decisions. And unfortunately, that was one that ultimately had to be made. And it was made much later than I would have hoped. But it was really, we tried everything we could, my team and I, to not have to make that decision. But ultimately, it would have been irresponsible for us to continue the program. And when I inherited the program when I came in 3 years ago, it was just beginning outside of the pandemic. It started its first year online, and we just were not seeing some of the partnerships that are originally supposed to be a part of it, and our girls just weren't getting the rigorous and robust STEM program that I know they can, and I know our partners in our community are more than willing to help and support us with ensuring that they have those experiences. And that just had, with so many things going on with the pandemic, it had kind of just not been addressed in a timely manner. And by the time we got to the point where it was being implemented the way that it was supposed to, it just hadn't got a clear foundation as to build upon. And I want to make sure that when we do things here in Fayette County that we do them with excellence. And at this point, going on the 6th grade would not have allowed for the foundation, which is K-5 of that program, to be built upon excellence. It's getting there. We are excited in the direction it's going. We've worked with all of our families who were unable to, that were going to go to 6th grade, that were wanting to go back to the Rise STEM, work with them to get them in other programs or many other choice programs that they can choose for middle schools, and have really seen the attendance because it started earlier than the rest of the school year. And so we're still seeing that it's a very popular program for our girls, and we're excited about the foundation they're going to get and looking at how are we going to now expand to 6th grade and in the future.
Well, I'm glad to hear that so far the school year is off to a good start for them. And what kind of improvements would you like to see within the program itself and I guess outside the program itself in order to allow it to continue to expand and get to 6th grade, whether it be in 2025 or even beyond that?
Well, a big one is partnerships, allowing our girls to be able to see many women that are in different STEM fields, allowing the curriculum that is very robust and rigorous to allow them to experience the latest and greatest when it comes to STEM fields and STEM education, and really providing unique experiences that they can't receive anywhere else. And so that requires very intentional leadership. It requires very intentional strategies, and we've put those into place this year. And our girls will be going on different field trips and having experiences in their school that are really going to change the way that they look at STEM in general. And so we're excited about what's happening there now. The first day of school was exciting for them. We had many women from several careers out there that were welcoming them on their carpet going in, and it was just really cool to see all of the different fields and the ladies that were really supporting them and supporting the school. And so it is certainly a priority of mine. It is something that I want to make sure that our young ladies and girls are able to continue to take pride in and continue to excel. And so we will certainly eventually move on to the higher grades, but we want to make sure we do it the right way.
I was just about to say, doing it correctly and doing it with the purpose instead of just doing it to do it is the most important thing I can imagine. Shifting to nurses, there was the partnership that was announced it was going to be terminated. That would have, if I'm having it right, would have cost a job of more than 50 nurses in the district. Ultimately, the decision was made to kind of reverse that and continue with the partnership with Max. And what kind of pieces of information goes into a decision like that and making sure that Fayette County Public School students are healthy at all times? Because obviously you can't have a school without a school nurse and keeping these kids healthy and safe.
Well, we're very proud that we have full-time nurses on all of our campuses and that our students have access to medical attention when they need it. We also have some campuses that are community schools that have a variety of services provided to them beyond just nursing, where families can come in and take advantage of a variety of services. What happened last year, it was simply every few years we put out a request for proposals, which is an opportunity for us to be fiscally responsible and ensure that we have the latest and greatest programs available for our students. And so an RFP went out, which allowed for different organizations to propose what they would like to do to take over our nursing program, which is currently with the Fayette County Health Department. And at that time, there was different bids. There's a committee that's set up in order to evaluate the proposals and what they're offering. And there was another organization that proposed something that was that committee thought was better or more reasonable for the district. It was proposed to the Board of Education, who has the authority to adopt it or not. And the Board of Education asked that we put it off another year and go back and do a little bit more research. And so that's what we're currently doing this year. There's never, going to be a time, and even at that time, where there are not going to be nurses on our campuses. That is certainly a priority of mine. That's a priority of our board. And it's just a matter of who will be providing that services to us. And we're also looking at the possibility of whether we should hire our own nurses as a school system. And so all of those are going into decisions right now, and we'll be going back to the board at sometime this school year for next school year.
Without fine arts, you wouldn't have a lot of different careers. It just also, it builds confidence among students. So talk to me about that rumor and what you all as a district would want to dispel about the fact that fine arts are being cut, although they're not.
Since I've arrived, we've actually increased our budget for fine arts millions of dollars. We have, for the first time in a couple of decades, a fine arts department that provides services and support for our fine arts teachers. Our fine arts teachers are receiving more professional learning than they've ever received before. And I am personally a huge fan of the fine arts and wouldn't dare allow something like that to occur. I would certainly advocate against it being cut. One of the particular issues that I think people don't quite understand is that our schools have options when it comes to what specials, if you will, and different electives they like to offer. We have fine arts on every single one of our campuses in the district, but it is not my place to tell a school that has parents and teachers and staff that are on a site-based decision-making team that you must have these exact specials and electives that you provide to your kids. And they get to choose exactly what it is that they want. Every last one of them, again, have chosen some sort of fine arts, but many of them choose they want to have a STEM class where their students are able to go to. Many of them choose that they may want to do chorus over drama or theater. They may want to do general music. And so they get the option of deciding whether they want to have a foreign language in place of another fine arts option. But we are certainly funding fine arts more greatly than we ever have before, at least in the past couple of decades for sure. And our students are taking full advantage of those and getting well-rounded education. I personally was a fine arts student myself when in school, and so understand the importance of those building confidence and building skills and allowing students to explore different options. And so that's where fine arts is and where we stand as a district on fine arts. It's very much supported.
I'm curious because I haven't had the chance to fully dive into this issue. Where did this rumor start that it was being cut at some Fayette County schools? Because it kind of seemed it came out of left field.
There was a particular campus that, again, decided that they wanted to replace one of their fine arts positions with I believe it was a foreign language. They wanted their students to take advantage of a foreign language. And that was a decision that that committee made on that campus. That was an elected committee that includes parents, teachers, and staff. And that was ultimately the decision they made. And although there are still, I think, 2 fine arts courses offered at that campus that students take advantage of, they cut a third one in place of another foreign language elective. And so it was appealed to the board level to where they wanted to bring back that fine arts position. But the board upheld the decision of that committee that's made up of, again, elected officials from that campus. And then it just became that we're cutting fine arts for some reason, and that simply is not the case at all.
Lastly, in May at Henry Clay, senior Emanuel Maati passed away after suffering a medical emergency in the classroom. It came out, and there was video that supported this, that he was involved in breaking up a fight in one of the bathrooms. And you had said after the fact that Emanuel had never entered a restroom on May 10th, nor was he involved in a fight or the act of breaking up a fight. First question on this is what led to the differing stories, I guess, for lack of a better term? Because not saying that you were wrong or anything like that, but I have to imagine there had to have been some disconnect there. So what happened from your perspective?
Well, first, our hearts go out to Emanuel's family. I'm sure they're still suffering. I mean, to lose a child is just unimaginable. And it is something that we were very hesitant to even comment on because we simply wanted to be there for Emanuel's personal family and his school family as well. The statement that I released was indeed accurate. The attorneys, to my understanding, had come out and said that on that day that Emanuel had his episode, that he had broken up a fight. In fact, the fight had happened many, many days before. And so that was a true statement that was released. And there's no reason, to my knowledge, that connects his death with the fight itself. But nonetheless, it makes it no less tragic. It makes it no less sad for all those that knew and loved Emanuel. And so I really, it was unfortunate that it received so much coverage when the family was just really, I thought, deserved the time to to grieve and to have that time for themselves to get exactly what they needed, which I'm sure is a lot during that time. That's a hard loss.
When something like that happens to a student or a faculty member, we are guilty of this as the media. We are going to cover it. It's just no secret of the business. But how do you provide the information needed to the rest of the district while also giving the people involved, the families involved, the ability to have their space, be able to grieve, and have the information that they need to be able to cope with such a tragedy, whether it be a death or otherwise?
Well, we reach out to the family first and foremost and ask them exactly what are they comfortable with, what exactly do they need from us, and we try to provide that to them. But we also make sure that we have a team that goes out and meet with students and staff that are available should they need additional emotional support. And we are very much aware that it's an emotional time, and teachers themselves often will need a break. And so we provide all of the services that are needed in order for them to be able to take care of themselves. But as far as anything outside of that, we really speak with the family to see what their immediate needs are and what their wishes are so that we can be respectful of those.
And then lastly, on top of that, what would you want to say to parents right now that some time has passed, just to reassure their beliefs that when their kid steps into the building after being dropped off or steps on the bus in the morning, that they will ultimately return home and they will be able to live a long and happy life and something doesn't happen? Because while yes, something like this is tragic, there are learning opportunities from it as well. So what would you say to parents to kind of reassure them that their children are safe?
Well, I will tell you, we've taken many efforts to increase the safety on our campuses. Our community a few years ago passed a tax increase in order to allow for us to put vestibules in every single entry. We also provide at our high schools entries where every single student has to go through a metal detector before going. We have a robust police department and police that are assigned to every single campus in our schools. And so we are, my number one priority is student safety. If someone doesn't feel safe, they obviously can't learn. And so there's many things that are in place, including cameras throughout our entire system to ensure that we can take advantage of ensuring that students and staff have every opportunity to feel comfortable and to feel as if their safety is of high priority. Unfortunately, in America, I can't guarantee anyone's safety, but I can guarantee that we do take every precaution possible in order to ensure that our students are safe, that our staff is safe, and that we are in environments that are conducive to learning.
I know I said lastly on this point, but you just brought something up that you cannot guarantee every student safety, but we'll try your hardest to do so. From when you first started 25 years ago to now, how has that aspect of student safety evolved, and how is that kind of forced you to adjust on the fly? Because again, you never know what actually could happen on a given school day. It's a tragic thought to think about, but it is part of your job, I guess, to make sure that every scenario is accounted for in some form or fashion.
Unfortunately, this is not unique to Fayette County or Kentucky. It is a national problem that educators are facing each and every day. And so one thing that I'm proud of in Fayette County is that we have systems in place and we have routines in place that are very, very spelled out, very much organized. And so for any scenario that we can possibly think of, we have a plan in place for how we will execute that. In addition to that, when we have drills, we actually will come back and we have after reviews of those drills and how did they go. And unfortunately, when we have real events that occur, we also come back and say, how could we have done this better? How can we tweak our plan and what can we do next time? But overall, our schools are very safe. Our schools, our students come to school, they feel comfortable, they build relationships with those that are there, and we are here to make sure that they're learning in that environment, and we do everything we can to make sure that that's not front of mind for them, but we have other people that it's always front of mind, even on our best days, to make sure that we're ensuring their safety.
Before moving on to this upcoming school year, the last thing I want to ask about last year is once the school year's ended and the last graduation commencement ceremony has taken place, how long do you take, not necessarily to unplug, but I have to imagine you take a break before totally looking back on the previous year to kind of decompress? Because like we were just talking about, whatever you do in the last year, you could use to help you in the next year. So what was that process like after school ended? What were those following 2-3 weeks like for you?
Well, contrary to popular belief, I guess, graduation is the end of one school year, but we usually start around February, March planning for the next school year. So it kind of overlaps, if you will. And so there's really, I wouldn't say there's a lull or break after graduation, because we immediately start on summer school. We immediately start on plans for next school year. We immediately start on preparing for what's to come, according to what possibly happened in the legislature and all sorts of things. And so I don't get a lull during the summer, but I love what I do. I love the difference that I'm able to make in kids' lives. And so it's exciting work. So I don't, it's not exhausting on most days. It's just really about getting the work done, and seeing the fruits of our labor really makes it well worth it.
Let's look ahead to 2024, 2025, an exciting year, as always, every new year. The first question I have on this year, Fayette County approved an 8% raise for teachers. It's something that districts across the state and the country have struggled with, compensating teachers fairly and being able to retain good quality teachers. Do you think that raise, it will be enough among other benefits to not only keep the best teachers here, but also bring in new teachers who will help continue to progress the district forward?
Well, since my entry, our staff on average have received about a 14% raise from as of up till today. We are currently the highest paid starting teacher salary in the state of Kentucky. And our board is very committed to ensuring that we pay our teachers and our staff fair wages. That I personally believe teaching is one of the most important professions in the world and should be paid a whole lot more than they are. But our board is very, very much on board with me in ensuring that we can provide as much compensation as possible to them. This year, another benefit that our teachers and staff are receiving is 35 paid days of parental leave. And we are also giving disability insurance and other benefits. And that has proven to really be helpful in us recruiting and retaining our teachers. In fact, as of last week, 99% of our positions have been filled, and we're really excited about that. And that 1% really is about processing. And so we have candidates for those. And we're realizing also that we're getting much more experienced teachers than we have in the past. And so it's making a huge difference. We are a destination district. We're doing amazing things. And that has been able to allow us to recruit the best and the brightest to come work with kids in Fayette County Public Schools. And so I really applaud my board for being bold and taking such initiatives in order to do that.
You just touched on it being a destination district, aside from the compensation, because that obviously always sweetens the pot for anyone who's looking for a job. What makes Fayette County a destination school district?
Well, I will tell you the resources that we have in Fayette County are immense. Often what I will hear when new teachers come to the school and when I have conversations with them is, the resources I have here are unlike any place I've been before. And I will tell you, as a superintendent that's worked in other districts, the resources that we're able to provide to our students are just really something that is unique and much more plentiful in Fayette County than other places. Our students have access to mental health specialists and things that I just had never heard of in other places that we're able to do. We've also been able to implement those for our staff. And so our staff have individuals who they can go to should they need mental health support. And just a variety of services that provide an environment where people want to work. And culture is most important. And so we just try to create a culture to where people realize that they're they belong here. We want them to be here, and we value the work that they do each and every day. And so I think that's more important than anything, to where people enjoy coming to work and are really understand that they have a leader and leaders throughout the district that understand that they are individuals first, and we're going to do everything we can to take care of them so they can take care of our kids.
We touched on it before, the advice that you give to the students, both young and old. Having been a teacher yourself, what advice would you give to those first-time teachers? Because there are going to be a few in Fayette County Schools this year, correct? And as someone who probably came out very nervous, I have to imagine, for your first teaching gig.
Yeah, sure.
What advice would you give to them?
Breathe. Take time to take care of yourself. You're not going to be perfect year 1. You're not going to be perfect year 25. And allow yourself those opportunities to take risk, to make mistakes, and just continue to get better from them. The great thing about kids, they're resilient, they're forgiving, and one bad day does not equal a bad year or a bad week. So start off each day new and fresh, and remember, you're doing one of the most noble jobs in the world, and we need you, and it's important for you to take care of yourself so you can take care of our kids.
One of the most noble jobs, and one of the jobs that have maybe the biggest impact on society as a whole, because I think everyone can sit and remember that one teacher that had an impact on them and that helped shape them into the person they are today, wherever it be kindergarten, social studies in high school, math, what have you.
Yeah, and it's the same. I mean, it is. Everyone has that teacher that they can remember that made a difference in their lives. For me, it was a counselor. I had a counselor that was responsible for me going to college, and I grew up poor and didn't know anyone that had gone to college. I was the first person in my family, and only thing I knew is that college costs money, and we had none. And so, for a counselor to take the time to really help me and make a difference in my life long term, I wouldn't be sitting here today without Ms. Nava, who made that difference for me. And there's a million stories like that. And so our teachers and staff make huge differences in the lives of students each and every day. And you never know what one thing you may say that really impacts a child, that really sticks with them long term. I've had kids come back to me and say, I remember when you told me this. And I, of course, don't remember it, but to them it meant something. And so our words matter, our actions matter, and when you care about kids, the kids know you care, and they really they absorb everything that you pour into them. And so it is indeed a profession that is absolutely needed, needs to be much more respected than I believe our culture does. And it is indeed the only career that makes all other careers. And so without a teacher, we'd have no people on the news. Without a teacher, we wouldn't have librarians like this librarian, are the authors of these books. And so, educators make all other professions possible.
You touched on something there that I wasn't planning on bringing up, but it's very interesting. Your background, you just mentioned growing up poor, you were the first in your family to be able to go to college. It's a very similar situation that many kids here in FCPS face in their own lives. How do you use that to be able to relate to those families and relate to students, both who are in similar situations and those who are not, to be able to be the best leader possible?
I will tell you, I learned long, long ago, probably my first year of teaching, or possibly even during my student teaching, that every family just wants the best for their child. Whether they come from the most affluent of homes and experiences, or the poorest, whether they're an immigrant, whether they speak another language, whether their child has a disability, all families just want what's best for their kids. And if they understand that I, as a leader, and our system, and the individuals in our system, if you will, that's what we want as well. It creates an environment where we really are able to do amazing things and partner well with our families and our parents. And that's really what Fayette County is at its core. The amount of care that our teachers have and attention they put into taking care of our kids is something that is just, every family should be proud to have a child attend our schools. And that that takes place at public schools across our nation, but Fayette County is unique in the fact that we offer so many more programs and systems that are in place in order to make sure that we're doing that. But yeah, it is critical that we just let our families know we're here to provide what's best for you, what's best for your child, and to ensure that they leave in a place to where they can go out in life and be successful citizens and do big things and follow their wildest dreams.
I want to talk technology a little bit because obviously it is a big part of school and education nowadays, both for the positive and for the negative. Maybe this is on either side of the aisle, but cell phones. A number of districts have decided to completely ban cell phone use in classrooms. They're requiring kids to put them in either those baggies that you've seen on the news and at concert venues and things like that, or just in a locker themselves and other devices. Is this something that FCPS has considered in possibly continuing that learning to make up the deficit from the learning loss from the pandemic and also continue to keep students engaged on the coursework during that short period of time teachers have them each day?
Yeah, we actually have several campuses that piloted it last year. And we also have campuses that are piloting restrictive cell phone use this school year. The research that's coming out, I was just reading an article yesterday about how cell phones are impacting education and student achievement. And so it's certainly something that needs to be addressed. So we're looking at different models and how that works and really how to balance it between societal needs. We have many families that they want their child to have access to a phone in case something happens. But we also understand that families understand that they're very much distractions in classroom. We also have teachers that utilize cell phones as part of their lessons. And so we're really trying to come up with a fine balance in each. And so we're taking the time last year and this coming year to just collect data to see how it has impacted our students, how it has impacted student achievement, and to really just collect feedback and from our families and from our students and our teachers and staff to see exactly how effective it has been and whether or not it would be a great idea for us to implement it district-wide.
Based on the pilots from last year, what is some of the feedback that you receive in both faculty and staff and students as well? Because I have to imagine there are people on both sides of the issue, as with any issue we see in our society.
So far, I will tell you, teachers love it. It allows for a lot less distractions. We are seeing students are much more attentive. Students have an opportunity to really focus on exactly what it is before them. But we are also learning that teachers are being very intentional about having much more engaging lessons. It's very difficult for a human being, which are teachers, which are teaching our classes each and every day, to compete with modern day technology that just have kids entrenched in what it is that's going on those screens. And so it's really helped with our teachers creating much more engaging lessons and lessons that will allow for our students to feel as if they're being engaged and they're being challenged to do exactly what it is that often they find so interesting on their cell phones.
I just imagine too, it also helps better create relationships between teachers and students because the teachers, like you're mentioning, are not competing for their attention because of the cell phone use.
Yes, and when you have those relationships built in, I mean, education at its core really requires a relationship in order to learn, and so it really helps with our teachers being able to get to know our kids more, actually see their faces instead of the top of their heads, and so yeah, it makes a huge difference. But we're really looking to collect some very intentional data. We'll be sending out surveys and really interviewing people to see exactly what it is that they're finding most useful and what are some of the barriers that are involved as well. And so possibly not this school year, we're continuing to pilot, but I'm sure in the future there will be a decision made one way or the other how we'll move forward.
Another part of technology that has gotten a lot of attention in education is artificial intelligence, particularly at the college level, but you see it in the K through 12 level as well. How do you see that impacting both the ability for teachers to teach, but also students to maintain academic integrity? Because that is a very large concern, as I'm sure you have read.
Yes, and I liken AI very similar to when smartphones became very popular. I remember it was something that, we were really fighting as educators to keep cell phones completely out of schools. We didn't want them there. We didn't know how to incorporate them into our lessons. We were concerned about, academic integrity. Some of the same similar things are happening with AI. And I feel it's something that it's part of our society. It's the way we're going. And it's something we're going to really have to embrace and learn how to make sure that we are working within the parameters of what it provides. One of the things that we've done in Fayette County, we are one of the first districts in the state to have guidelines as how AI is to be used. We're teaching our teachers how they can incorporate those into their lessons as benefits, and how not to be afraid of the technology, and how it can actually enhance some of the work that they're doing and help in some of the work that they're able to do with our students. And then teaching our students how to use it responsibly, teaching them about, the integrity of their work and, the academic honesty. And so it really is a part of education in general about how it should be incorporated, how it can be utilized responsibly, and what ways that we're going to help ensure that it is something that's going to be able to help us in educating our children and not hinder us.
How do you use the lessons learned from when cell phones were first introduced when you were teaching to now, and kind of not fall into similar pitfalls that you did with cell phones compared to AI?
Well, that's exactly what we're doing. We're not banning it. It's not something that we're just saying we're going to ignore and put our heads in the sand and say it's not happening. And so that's why we made guidelines. That's why we created systems that we can understand exactly these are the expectations of how we're going to use them as adults and educators in the system. And this is how we're going to allow our students to utilize it. And so really getting ahead of it and saying, how can it be helpful to us in our core mission, which is educating students, and not just pretending as if it's not there and that our kids aren't going to use it, but figuring out how to make sure that they understand how to use it responsibly.
All right, let's end on a positive note here. We are sitting here 2 days before the start of a new school year. This will air on Wednesday itself. But what makes this time of year so exciting to you? I feel like I know the answer, but I would love to hear it. What are these last few days been like? 'Cause I have to imagine, to get closer and closer and closer, the excitement only builds.
This time of year, it's a magical time of year. You have, I was just on campus last week pulling up a bulletin board and seeing all of the excitement. Our teachers come back refreshed. They've had their summers off. They're excited about a new group of students. Our students come back excited about being at the next grade level. And everyone, the great thing about education is you get to start over every single year. No matter how bad of a year you may have previously or how good of a year you had previously, this is a time of year where it's a fresh start and everyone comes in with the intentions of doing their absolute best. And we have the opportunity to just really be great. And so it's a time of year where I get most excited. First day of school is always exciting for me. People have changed, we've been promoted to assistant principals and from para professionals to teachers. And so it's new, it's exciting, it's bold, and it's just a time of refreshing. And so teachers and staff are all just excited, and often people will think it's just the kids that get excited about the first day of school. We get just as excited. And so we're looking forward to welcoming our students and looking forward to all the amazing things that are to come.
I have to imagine, over the course of the last 25 years for you being in education, that first day of school, when you see the kids walk up, whether they be your students or now, in this case, as the head administrator, just the whole student body as a whole, it is very joyous to see the smiles on their faces. Probably some sadness as well, both from parents and students alike.
Usually the parents, yeah.
That their kids are getting older, or
Yeah.
that a summer is ending. But talking about that, because I feel like not everyone gets to experience that and see that excitement at such a high level in a place where the opportunities are endless.
It's amazing to me each year. It's never lost on me the amount of care and love that goes into preparing for our kids. You have kids that come that are very nervous about the first day of school. You have kids that are coming, it's their first time in an American school. They don't speak the language. It's kids that are coming from other states or other school systems that are coming here. And then we have our transition years to where our sixth graders are in middle school, or our freshmen, or, and I mentioned earlier, you know, our seniors that are coming in as top of the class. And of course, our kindergartners and pre-Ks who've never been to school before in many instances. And to see the way our teachers, our administrators, our staff just embrace them and put them at ease and let them know it's going to be okay. It really warms my heart every single year to see it, because you will have the most nervous students come in that are put at ease. And if you start from the beginning of the day to the middle of the day, even on day one, you see the transition to where they've become comfortable, where they realize I'm in a safe place. These are people that care about me. These are people that want what's best for me. And that's what educators do every single day. And that's why it's year 25 and I keep coming back and will continue to keep coming back, because it makes a huge difference. It sets the tone. And it's an exciting time just to do something new and exciting. And elementary or kindergarten, for example, often have boohoo parties after the first part of the day. And that's usually for the parents, mind you. But the kids, believe it or not, the kids get in and become very comfortable, very easily adapt. And that's because of the amazing educators that we have on all of our campuses that welcome them. I spend my first day as a tradition traveling to all of our campuses with new principals. And I always leave them a little piece of advice of what to expect throughout the year. And but that's really, and so then while I'm there, I get the opportunity to visit classrooms and see what's going on. So I see the transitions throughout the day and how just how amazing and how talented the staff is. And many people, you know, look at education and say, you know, well, it's just, you're taking care of kids every single day, but it is truly a science and an art to the work that we do. And here in Fayette County, I mean, we do it better than most. And so excited about this time of year and really excited about all the things that are to come.
I think it's the perfect place to put a pin in things. Is there anything else I didn't ask that you'd like to add?
No, thank you very much.
Superintendent Liggins, I really appreciate the time.
Enjoy being here, absolutely.
It's a pleasure.
Yes, sir.